Well, the Senate has held a public hearing on a bill seeking to amend the Raw Materials Development Council Act 2022 to facilitate processing and protect local production. Now, the bill, which passed its first and second reading last year, proposes a 30% value addition to raw materials before exportation from Nigeria and promotion of local processing, which would in turn boost domestic manufacturing industries. Shortly before the hearing, the Academic Staff Union of Research Institutions organized a rally at the National Assembly premises to support the amendment of the bill. Now, the Secretary General of the Union, Professor Theophilus Ndubuaku, says if the amendment sails through and it is implemented successfully, it will have a significant impact on Nigeria's economy.
We are organizing this rally to support a landmark activity that's going on about now at the National Assembly. And it is all about the amendment of the Act of Raw Material Research and Development Council to amend their act and make provision for value addition, 30% value addition for all raw materials that are going to be exported from Nigeria. Now, this landmark activity, this landmark amendment, is going to change the face of the economy of this country. We pray that everybody should join the Nigerian workers, who you are seeing today, to make sure that this bill sails through, and within the shortest possible time that this bill is passed and then assented to by the president.
Well, I'm joined now by the Secretary General of the Academic Staff Union of Research Institutes, Professor Theo Ndubuaku, whom you just saw moments ago in that report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For joining us on Newsnight. Well, it's interesting listening to you and the kind of change that this bill could bring. But paint a picture for us first. What has obtained before now? We understand that the bill has gone through second reading, but what has been the practice before now that you're demanding for this 30% value addition?
Yeah, you know that it's said, everybody keeps saying and agrees that Nigeria has vast natural resources.
Right.
And then all over time we keep saying, oh, we want to diversify away from crude oil. So what happened to these vast natural resources that Nigeria has? Because if you look at Nigeria and look at a country like Ukraine, that Donald Trump is, saying he wants to collect rare earth minerals.
Yes.
We have those rare earth minerals here. We are endowed naturally. So what has been happening? What has been happening is that these things have been exported even without records across the border, but without any processing, raw. And so you find out that a lot of things, we are losing a lot. Now, that's the situation. And this Raw Material Research Council was established in 1987. And just for development and optimization of, raw materials for development, And just now, just within the past 1 year, they had a new DG who had this vision and started thinking, it's not like rocket science. That so many countries don't export their raw material just like that.
Yes, it must be.
There must be value addition.
Yeah.
And so in some countries, in fact, export of some raw materials are banned completely. So we're now starting with 30%. And in fact, I need to...
And I'm wondering, why 30%?
Yes, because you see, if you go beyond 30%, you might find it difficult to take off because... Right. That means that the importers who need to come and establish industries, and the people here who also need to maybe get a loan or whatever to establish industry, or the government that needs to build infrastructure may not be able to, because we're talking about vast, almost all the raw materials.
So this 30% that you're pegging it at is the barest minimum?
Yes, for now.
For now.
Well, okay. I'm sure that over time we can keep gradually increasing it.
But like Nigeria is a primary goods country, just like you stated.
Yes.
I mean, we export raw materials and what have you without any value
addition.
addition. For you to have value addition, there are things that must be in place. There are structures that must be in place, infrastructure issues and all of that. Are you looking at that as part of, what needs to be, for this to be achievable?
Definitely. That's why, when you ask why is it 30%?
Yes.
At the level of 30%, you can start building up. But this is something and that's why we're involving the Nigerian Association of Small Scale Industrialists, because at the small scale level, they can do some of these things.
Right.
And then start with just processing 30% before, and then we have an institution like Raw Material Research Council, Development Council, that is spread across the country. They have offices all over the country. And they are related to research and development, and I am in charge of the union for research and development. And we have almost 300 centers across the country.
And I'm just going to ask you, you like you said, RMRDC was formed as far back as 1987. That's many years ago.
40 years ago.
Are there any success stories in terms of the value that you have brought in the area of research?
Yes, there are. We have
success stories that you can
yes, we
share
have
with
success
us?
stories because they have added value, sort of, in terms of identifying, getting people to optimize locally, to try to identify these raw materials and encourage the utilization of these raw materials and then processing them and all that.
Are there any that have been identified?
Sure.
Like cassava, for example. We hear the Chinese are, they're going
ballistic
with cassava alone.
Yes, raw material has been in support of, processing of some of these raw materials, agricultural raw materials.
Yes.
And then they've been supportive of research institutions. You know that this is a country that we have a research institute for virtually everything.
Right.
Except that they are not funded properly, But raw material has been very, has been very good in supporting these research institutions to, develop these technologies and process those things. So there are a lot of things you have on the shelf, in research institutions, especially in terms of processing of raw materials, identification of these raw materials, even assisting the local, processing of raw materials, not just research alone, but the development has been, done by raw material over these years, and they've done very well.
Well, when we say raw materials, it's huge.
Raw Material Research and Development Council. That's what
yeah,
it is, yes.
But which specific raw materials are we talking about? Is it from crude oil to tin,
bauxite,
to natural gas, coal?
Let us take agriculture, for instance.
Exactly.
There's a lot of agricultural processes going on. For instance, there was a time we were talking about cassava bread. Let me just take a simple example.
Yeah.
And then there was this development, that got to the point where, there was research done and it was developed, and then.
And former President Goodluck Jonathan was, champion of that, so, but it looks like it was dead on arrival.
Yes, because it wasn't taken up, and right. Policies. When you now say, oh, you want, produce cassava bread, and all of a sudden, you throw open the importation of wheat, and then wheat becomes, and some of these things,
So you give with one hand and take with the other hand.
So people went back to full, production of.
So what are the guarantees that when this bill comes into law, when it comes on stream, that it will achieve the objective?
The truth about it, and that's why we are really, saying, coming to you, because we need the media to understand what is happening. We are estimating that because of the vast resources we have, if we pass this bill, we can get, within 5 years, 10 million people employed, jobs created, new jobs created. And the ripple effect of 10 million jobs created within 5 years, 5 to 10 years,
that's huge.
It's about 40 million people.
Right.
This is just what we need to kickstart development in this country, because we have this. We don't even. They keep saying oil. Nobody's talking about all these things. We have all these rare earth minerals. They are there. They are here in this country. Titanium, uranium, gold, bauxite. Name
lithium,
them. All of them. Lithium. All of them. So, but the point is that, and you'll be surprised if we dig deep. You will find that these things are being exported without any records. Across the borders. So, but
will this bill address this aspect that you just raised?
Because you see now, you have to, because we had a meeting, some last week, and then the custom people were there, and everybody was buying into it. And because the small scale industrialists will be involved. There'll be a lot of people blowing whistle and say, "Oh, they are carrying trailer load of, or they are mining something somewhere else." There was a case of, it said they were, excavating soil for laterite, and then there was gold in that laterite, and then nobody knew. And then these people, I will not mention the count, people, they were packing this laterite and processing and exporting.
Yeah.
And then so that they will extract the gold. So now that everybody becomes aware, even what we are doing now is creating awareness.
Absolutely.
And and then you find a situation where jobs will be created, industries will be established, poverty will be alleviated.
And we have to reduce Nigeria's dependency on imports.
On imports.
Right.
And so this is supposed to be something everybody should buy into.
Right.
And then we want to also plead that you people, the media, should continue to talk about it, follow up with the legislation until it gets to the president, and then gets assented to.
Right.
That's the thing.
I was actually going to ask the key points, maybe 1-2 key points of this bill.
Yes.
Please, the
point here is, what we are saying is that, first of all, there will be job creation, and on a massive scale. Then there will be revenue generation,
right.
Foreign exchange, because you see, when you add value, you sell better.
Okay.
And so you now find a situation where all this issue of job, joblessness and
will be a thing of the past.
Poverty will be a thing of the past.
Great, thank you so much, sir. Theo Ndubuaku is Secretary General, Academic Staff Union of Research Institutes. Thanks for joining us.